Just for the listeners, I want to talk about some of the more well-known horses that you've ridden, and maybe you can give us some insight into their character and what it was like to ride them. I want to start with a champion Japanese horse, Maurice, who rode in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I remember him very well. Yeah, he was like a very big and solid kind of a horse. If just by the first look off, you would be impressed, and some of the kids would be extremely afraid because he used to be muscle and strong, like big eyes, aggressive sort of a type of a horse. So I remember very well when I first got on him. I galloped him a few times in the morning so I could feel how much he would pull in the track work, which is very common to the Japanese horses. They are very willing to just speed up and go for it, So I got on this horse in the mornings, maybe once or twice, and the feeling he gave me straight away is that he could be a strong horse. He used to be calm in a way that even if he was very impressive, like just by looking, he used to allow the jockey to get on, hold it all together, get onto the track, and like being very close to the red mark. In a way that if he's one of those, if I give them a dig, if I dig him up, he would just over-race for sure. So I just try to just keep him on that pattern, hoping that he doesn't get too high or too cold. So riding him at the races, I still had to dig him out and get him going to be able to get a position. And then by doing so, I had him traveling a little bit at the top, over the top, let's put it this way, which I had to just deal with that anyway. But, by himself, by being such a good horse, even traveling a little bit too strong, I was still able to have him full on at the finishing. I believe if I was able to switch him off a little bit more, his finish would be even greater. He would have won that race, the Champions Mile in Hong Kong with me, even easier, in a more impressive way. But he's no doubt a horse that I have him as one of the best horses that I have ridden in my life, just by what he has done in his campaign as a racehorse, and in some other points like how impressive he would be as an individual. Personality-wise, I think he was a horse that would be easy to lose. If you do things wrong on top of him, you would lose him easily. But at the same time, he would be a horse that if you're able to get him to perform at his very best, he would give you such an amazing feel as a rider.
Okay, I'm going to go a horse that raced against Maurice, another big horse, Able Friend.
Totally different sort of a horse. He used to be extremely calm, very nice and kind of sort of a horse, which anybody could just get on board and go for a lap on him on daily track work. I would be willing to put my daughter, which is only 9 to 10 years old, on his back and let him go around the track. He would just go and bring her back home to me, I'm sure. So that tells a little bit about how calm and relaxed this horse would be. He would build up a connection with human beings, like he would know that we dare to look after him, and he would be a horse that you would want to look after him. The reason is he was just too good. You didn't have to do too much on him because he would just bring you to the top of the podium, if you know what I mean. He's a horse that me as a rider wouldn't have to do much with him at the races. So back to his personality and character, all right? So he was so calm and relaxed that he would probably just not do enough in track work, but John Moore would be so smart that he would just give him what he needed. And we saw him going through to the grades and process of rising until he gets to his top. That is one thing that people not know much about him, which is usually a horse that has got so much muscle and has got big size does not have a lot of gate speed, but he was the opposite. He would be able to use all those muscles that he's got to get himself out of the gate as fast as any other horse that I have ridden in the past. So he would be so sharp jumping out from the gates, which would help him also to get a position that he would want to. Other point is, him jumping out sometimes up in front into the race, he would be so reliable to being hauled back and dragged back to last if I want to, anytime I wanted. So there was few races that I rode him, I jump out in front and I just grab a hold of him very kindly, very quickly. He came back from me and I put himself last. And then there he comes, dragging me into the race, onto the straight. And I used to be one of those jockeys that used to just wait. He would want to get in front a little bit too early. A horse that would have a very short dash. So I should, and most of the time I had to just make a very short run on him. Horse that I don't think Ada has given me a better feel. He could finish in the race putting on like 21 seconds in the last 400 meters without me pushing him out. He would just do it himself. So it's just sad that good horses like him, they don't turn up very often. And you as a rider, if you're lucky to get one or two of him throughout of your career, you should be calling yourself very blessed.
You rode Able Friend against Morris in a Hong Kong mile, and it appeared as though you were going to go past him. And I think you told me at the time that Ryan Moore, who was on Morris, said to you in the race, "Oh, he's a good horse, Joe."
Yeah.
Like you're going to beat him. Obviously, maybe he wasn't at his best physically. Who was a better horse over a mile? Sha Tin.
Well, people might get upset to hear that, but that's the truth. Morris was able to go overseas and win big races, which Able Friend was not. So I would rate Morris ahead of Able Friend. But they both run against each other. They both run at their very best. I can't split them. And just don't forget, I just said they both run in Sha Tin, which used to be Able Friend's home yard. So if they both were running against each other at their very best, I think there was a very slight chance that Able Friend would go home as a winner. And just a good point that you just mentioned. I remember that international mile that Morris won with Joao Moreira, and I think I ran third with Able Friend. He wasn't at his best anymore. He was already dropping his form a bit, and he had some issues which wasn't very serious. He was still able to go to the race and perform, but probably limiting him to perform at his best. I would say he was kind of slide off. However, I came into the straight, I pulled out, and I just got on the outside of Morris, and I was just looking at Ryan. At the race itself, Ryan to AA John, it looks like special, doesn't it? He's going good, isn't he? So even Ryan thought I was just going to go past and beat him by a big margin. However, Morris bounced back, put himself in front of me, ended up winning the race. But that was some race, two really good horses running against each other and putting on a great show for the fans to watch. And being myself one of those jockeys on board of one of them, it was no doubt a pleasure for myself.
What I want to ask you is maybe a little bit offbeat as far as a racing question. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about technical aspects of your riding and ways that you hold the reins and different aspects of horse racing itself and all the great horses you've ridden. But I want to learn about and hear about what you learn from horses as a person.
A lot. It builds you as a human being. So if I didn't have horses in my life, I certainly would be a different person, right? Because I treat the horses as you probably treat other human beings. Like let's put it this way. If you were a teacher, how you get in the classes and deal with all those different kind of kids, each one of them has got different personalities, right? And you interact with them as they approach, in a different approach to each one of them. So each horse that I mean to get on, each horse that I mean to just come around or ride against, I just try to understand them all, and every single one has got a different personality and character as human beings, right? So science says you are built as a character pretty much as those 5 people closest to you. So you kind of make yourself inspired on those 5 persons closest to you. So I've had a lot of horses around me as well, probably even more than human beings, which build me. So what I can say is, horses, they can get you to be extremely aggressive, as they can be aggressive. Horses can also be very lovely, and kind and polite and very touching. Horses can be very mean, and that builds you as a human being. So saying about points, that what they taught me the most is, I'm sure if I'm a happy person, it's related to them, having them around my life. Second thing, I variate from very calm sort of a person, and I can get also very aggressive if I have to, because let's put it this way. If I'm riding a horse that is extremely calm and not willing to do things like falling asleep, I have to change my temper into a little bit more aggressive to switch them on and get them to really switch on, and then deliver their best. So I fluctuate being extremely calm to the extremely aggressive, and that also brings me into my daily life, which sometimes affect quite a lot my family. Like, let's say if I ride a horse that is not willing to try for me, and I get upset and I get angry, and sometimes I have to just give them like a very hard riding. Sometimes it sticks on me for the rest of the day, and I go home and bring it to the family, which is not good, obviously. But how about those horses that actually you get on and they nearly turn around and give you a kiss, or they lick your face, or they just gets your day to be a better day. They do it to you. So then, obviously, I come home extremely happy and pass it on to the kids as well. So the horses themselves, they change my life extremely. And I'm sure they're changing other human beings that are interacting with them as well. Being themselves, each one individual having a different kind of personality and character.
I'm sure horses are always going to be a part of your life. But as you're looking towards the end of your career, which you've announced, you've made it quite public that your hip injury means that you're riding on borrowed time, let's say. You don't know a definite date, but looking ahead to a time when you don't ride in races, what will you miss most about being a jockey?
Well, the competition of the race itself, because it also drives me. I enjoy being tested by circumstances or by horses or other humans around it. Let's put it jockeys. Let's say jockeys that are good jockeys. If you don't bring your A game, you're likely to go home as a loser to them. So I will definitely miss it. But I believe I will still fulfill myself, because I can't do anything else that is not related to horses. I don't know if I will be a handicapper or a steward or a trainer or just the assistant trainer or a farmer. It's hard for me to tell now, but I can tell you it gotta be something related to horses. And the reason of it is because of how much I love them, how much they fulfill my desire of being, around them, and I don't think anything else will fulfill that in myself. So I'm just happy, very happy to just stick around the horses.